Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.
All right. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Select Board meeting of June 13th, 2022. We are in the Bennington Firehouse. I am Jeannie Jenkins. I have the pleasure of chairing this board, and I'm going to ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves, starting with Gary.
I'm Gary Corey. Welcome.
Tom Haley, thanks for being here.
Jim Carroll, good evening.
Jean Connor.
Sarah Perrin.
Bruce Lee Clark. Welcome.
Excellent. Okay, and also with us tonight we have Stu Hurd, our town manager, Nancy Lively, who takes excellent minutes always, and Jim Vyers on the camera at Cat TV. Thank you. All right, so let's start this evening, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jim. And now, Jean, if you would read the town's vision, which guides everything we do.
I will read it, but I just want to pause for a moment because we read it every meeting. I'm afraid it's just no one's paying attention anymore because we've read it so many times. So let's just sort of like take a moment and really think about what this mission statement says and how important every single word is. Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so first up tonight is the consent agenda, which is a little more complicated than it is sometimes. We have several items on the consent agenda, the usual warrants, minutes from May 23rd Select Board meeting. We have minutes from three executive sessions where we interviewed candidates for the boards and commissions, and then we have 2 letters for consideration that were not in the packet. So for the purposes of discussion, could I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? And a second? Thank you. And so first, is there any discussion on warrants or minutes that have not already been shared with Stu or Nancy? No? Okay. Then next up are the, is the letter thanking Charlie Cobb for his years of dedication. Jean, I'm wondering if you would read that letter.
Sure. Dear Charles, on behalf of the Bennington Select Board, I would offer our heartfelt gratitude and sincere appreciation for your 21 and a half years of service to the town of Bennington as a member of the Development Review Board and of the Planning Commission. Your willingness to serve your community in this way is monumental when one considers how difficult and complex the issues of development can be. You have served with compassion and grace. You have led with distinction. Bennington is a better place thanks to your service. Sincerely, Jeannie will be signing it, but the letter is from all of us. Thank you, Charlie.
Yes. And so this letter will be mailed to Charlie after the meeting. And we are really, really grateful for the amount of service that he's given this community. The second letter that we have tonight is a letter of support for the ongoing work of the Ethiopian Community Development Council, or ECDC. Their work in southern Vermont has been to help welcome refugee families to our community. And so before reading the letter, I want to give a little bit of context and a summary, and the letter will be in the minutes. So first of all, Joe Wea, who is the director of ECDC, came to a meeting back in April to talk with us about his organization and also the work that is ongoing in southern Vermont. ECDC is one of 9 official resettlement agencies in the U.S. They've worked directly with refugees and local group of volunteers, the Bennington County Open Arms, to provide support for Afghan families settling in Bennington. This letter affirms our support for their work and our interest in working with them going forward, and it's addressed to the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migrants. So at present, there are approximately 30 individuals, including adults and children, from Afghanistan who are new Bennington residents, and these adults are involved in work and/or education and have already enriched our community. The Director of Refugee Services in Vermont, who is Tracy Dolan, has announced that Bennington, along with Colchester, Brattleboro, and Rutland, are the 4 official resettlement communities in Vermont. She has provided projections on numbers of refugees to resettle in our communities over the next 3 years. Bennington's new American population is expected to grow from 30 individuals presently here to around 50 next year, 75 the following year, and to see approximately 90 individuals from Afghanistan and other countries by 2025, which is great. Also anticipated by 2025, in Rutland, there will be 150 new Americans. Brattleboro is likely to see 120, and Colchester, 350 individuals. We all know that housing is a critical need and in all of our communities, and we are acutely aware that expanding housing opportunities will be essential to meeting these goals, as well as continuing to welcome anyone who wants to live in beautiful Bennington. So the letter that I'm going to read is to Kira Burdiner, who is the program officer at the Bureau of Population, Refugees, and Migration, the U.S. Department of State. It reads, as the chair of the Town of Bennington Select Board, I'm writing to express our support of the Ethiopian Community Development Council's, ECDC's, proposal to make the Town of Bennington an affiliate partner and begin a reception and placement program to resettle refugees in Bennington. The Town of Bennington already serves an Afghan population, and this extension of services to include initial resettlement will enable smooth continuation of services beyond the first 90 days with ongoing support programs. We have worked in connection with ECDC over the past year. They have been a forward-thinking provider of services to Afghan families resettling in southern Vermont. They have also aided Bennington County Open Arms, a volunteer organization assisting in resettlement efforts. The services that ECDC currently provides to this population make serving refugees upon arrival a logical next step for their organization. I have had conversations with the ECDC leadership team about their plans to increase the number of resettled individuals from approximately 30 refugees currently in Bennington area to a total of approximately 90 individuals in 2025. In these consultations, I expressed my support for this number and commitment to collaborating to serve these individuals. Sorry, it's a long letter. The Town of Bennington already has a relationship with ECDC this spring. Director Joe Wea spoke at the Bennington Select Board meeting to introduce the organization and its services. The Bennington Police Department has assisted Afghan families by providing bike helmets and basic roadway bike safety instruction. Afghan adults have been introduced to key town staff and facilities. Families are participating in town recreational opportunities, including summer camps, swimming, and gardening. Town-related functions, including public transportation, educational support for children and adults, and connections to employment have been important elements to resettlement efforts. The Bennington Banner, our town's newspaper, donated e-tablets with translation capabilities to each Afghan family to assist in their acclimation to the area. The town is eager to continue to work with ECDC and support initial resettlement efforts. We were happy to be consulted at this stage and to have opportunity to discuss the program, explore related needs, and the town's capacity to provide support. Sufficient appropriate housing remains a primary concern for our community, and we have made developing solutions to this problem a high priority. We look forward to continued work as our community implements our 2020 town vision, which reads, Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, and resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life. We're strongly interested in continuing to build a strong and sustaining refugee resettlement program in the Bennington area for years to come. As such, we fully support ECDC's application and their goals to partner with the town of Bennington. Thank you for your time and consideration, and please contact me with any questions you have. So I'm signing this on behalf of the Bennington Select Board if the Bennington Select Board agrees. All right? So I guess any discussion on any of the further items that have come up on the consent agenda? No? We ready to vote? Mm-hmm. Yes? All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Did you want a motion?
Oh, we did a motion at the front end.
We did, okay.
Uh-huh. Any opposed? Please say no. All right. Any abstentions? Excellent. That might be our longest consent agenda ever. All right. Next up, we have public comment. And we have 3 individuals that would like to speak. So first, Jamie Carey from Village Garage Distillery.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I have a very loud voice. I apologize.
Great, great.
As you said, my name is Jamie Carey. I am the sales manager of Village Garage Distillery, located here at 107 Depot Street, over that way. And Jim Carroll stopped by the other day and asked me to come up and talk a little bit about our business and maybe educate you guys a little bit more about what we do and who we are. So I'm just going to talk about, number one, how it started. So here's the story. Get ready. In 2018, it was Christmas Eve, 8th generation Vermonters Matt Cushman and Glenn Sauer each shared their tongue-in-cheek dream of opening a distillery in their hometown of Bennington. Just days after some dinner small talk and some sketches on a napkin, an LLC was formed. When it came time to pick a location, Glenn knew the perfect spot. Glenn has very fond memories of the Village Garage. As a young man, Glenn worked with his grandfather, Clyde Burgess. You guys remember Burgess Brothers? They would frequent the garage for business purposes, exchanging parts or just shooting the breeze with the town boys. The building was originally built in 1946 and became a tractor dealership owned by James Nelson. In 1955, the Village of Bennington acquired the property from Mr. Nelson, converted it into a village garage or a downtown highway department. In 1970, the village and town united and became just the town of Bennington. The nickname Village Garage remained due to the fact that there was a second garage on Willow Road, and in mid-2018, both town facilities were moved to Bowen Road and leaving both buildings vacant. So building came up for auction, and Glenn and Matt put a bid on it, and of course they won the bid. So it was very important to both Glenn and Matt to pay homage to the original structure and wanted to reconstruct the Village Garage as close as to the original look while making the facility as energy efficient and period correct as possible. And they did an amazing job, and the design was done and helped with by Mr. Jeff Metcalf right here from Keefe and Wesner Architects. So kudos, nice job. So who we are a small batch craft distillery with a tasting room that serves food. We produce whiskeys, bourbon, and vodka. We are striving to put Vermont on the list of great bourbon and whiskey makers. So that's a goal. We pride ourselves on sourcing all of our grains from and recycling back to local area farms. So it's very important that we do everything local. To Glenn and Matt. The stars on our label, as you can see, come from the flag of the Green Mountain Boys, our forefathers, flew when fighting for our nation's independence. And we claim that one can taste the spirit of the Green Mountains in every bottle. So, our head distiller, Ryan Shejwal, he's from Philadelphia. He brings a wealth of knowledge. Ryan has distilled at Blue Coat Distillery in Philadelphia, Widow Jane Distillery in Brooklyn, New York, and Few Distillery in Illinois. Ryan is producing new batches daily and has many creative ideas for the future. So our bonfire, which is not up there listed, but we have a new bonfire, which is a smoked maple whiskey, and our bourbon and our vodka are all available in Vermont liquor stores now. We also produce a rye and a gin that are in-house flavors only. Our distiller Ryan actually comes from a gin background, but and all our spirits can be bought directly at the distillery. So if you come there, you can buy all the flavors too as well. So the Village Garage tasting room is also called our service center, has a 13-seat bar, which represents the 13 stars on our label. Dine-in seating for up to 60 and outside patio seating for up to 50. We also have an outside stage ready for entertaining our guests. So our kitchen is run by Chef Jonathan Studley, whose 40 years of experience is a welcome addition to our offerings. Chef has worked in Michelin 3-star kitchens, New York legend Windows on the World, and resort restaurants from Maui to the Hamptons. Chef Jonathan works with local growers and producers to source featured ingredients, including greens, mushrooms, cheeses, and other items that rotate seasonally. So our spent grains from our distilling process are provided to local farms to feed livestock that then we feature on our menu. So we are taking our efforts from farm to table and in a way back to farm. So full circle.
Circle of life.
Yeah. So anyway, we at the Village Garage Distillery are working hard to extend our reach throughout the Northeast. We have a sincere interest in helping Bennington become a destination place where tourists from around the country and hopefully the world will want to visit. So we are excited to become part of a walkable downtown that will help the many businesses of Bennington. So for more information, to book a table or a tour or learn more about us, visit our website at villagegarage.com or our Instagram at Village Garage Distillery. And that is it. I want to thank you guys so much for the opportunity to share our story. Thank you.
Jamie, I've got one question for you.
Yes, sir.
What are your hours of operation?
We are open Thursday, Friday, Saturday from 5 until 9, and then Sundays noon till 4. So, and if you want a table, you have to reserve a table online. So, thank you guys.
Thank you very much. Lovely. All right, so next up, Nancy White to talk about garbage on Spring Street.
Nancy White, Bennington. For over 5 years, many of my neighbors have questioned our quality of life in the neighborhood. There has been one property I'll call an eyesore. Many would say it has looked like a dump, and it's been like this for 5 years. There have been a lot of other issues that have been created and have come from the property. The property was sold at the end of last year, but for some reason for the past month, a pickup truck filled with garbage has sat in the front yard. There's even more bags of garbage that have laid in the front yard. Now, maybe there was a miracle today and it disappeared because I didn't drive by. If not, who on the select board will take it upon themselves to get rid of that trash in the next couple of days? If the rats haven't appeared, they're coming soon, and they're going to go into other neighbors.
Well, first of all, this is not I didn't say this part, but again, this is a time for the public to share information with us. Thank you for letting us know about this. There is a town health officer.
This is a public health issue.
Yes.
When bags of trash
totally
have been sitting in a front yard for 30 days at least, when people who don't even live drive up the street and say, I can smell the garbage, what in the world's going on? I say, call the town office. They've been aware of the property for 5 years.
So Nancy, we will make sure, the select board will make sure that it is followed up on. But yes, there is staff on the town staff that
Do you know
will follow
anything
that.
about it, Dan?
Again, this is not a time for discussion. So you've brought the issue to us, and we will make sure that it's taken care of.
And we've been waiting for over 5 years for it to be addressed. Well over 5 years.
I hear you.
Okay.
That sounds pretty awful.
So we're worried about the quality of life in the working class neighborhoods.
Got it. Totally got it. Yeah. Thank you for alerting us to that.
I'll only comment that we're under active litigation with that
Oh, okay. And if someone calls the town office, they are told that? Okay.
And if Nancy called, she would have gotten that information as well.
Okay.
And I didn't hear what you said.
Call the town office, I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
All right. And so next up is Clark Adams to talk about news on CPARB.
Good evening, Clark Adams, Bennington. I was a little taken aback. I ran across an article, front page, on the banner. And I'm sitting here and I hear our vision statement for the community, which is clear, succinct, no ambiguity. But I kind of get the impression our efforts as a community, as town board, and as members who served on the commission to form the CBARB are being discounted, if not outright lied about. You know, I read these things, this article, and I'm left with a lot of questions. And one of my major questions is, how assertive is the town board in dealing with issues that the ACLU and NAACP are claiming did or didn't happen? Having gone to every meeting I physically could attend and watching the rest from above the Arctic Circle, I never saw or heard one word from the ACLU or the NAACP during the process. And I read articles in here, well, statements in here about police behaviors and activities of discrimination and maltreatment of the public. I've never seen any evidence to that effect. And is there? Have we have any documentation where our police officers or our police administration have mistreated people or been racist and bigoted in their actions? Have we ever documented that?
Oh, I don't even know where to begin. I think the only thing I can say relating to that is that the ACLU attorney contacted, so we had many discussions here where we discussed reaching out to the legislature and various peoples in the legislature and checking with other communities that had boards, et cetera. Following that, I did receive a request for all of my correspondence with legislators and others concerning our attorney's decision, and I sent those emails on, which were largely, "Dear Senator,
right.
Please, please know that this is something that we are concerned about, and can you help us?" Beyond that, I mean, every town has a history, and there are certainly materials on the, I would say, I would point you to the IACP report. I would point you to, the materials on the community policing webpage. All I can say is that we continue to want to work with anyone who will work with us.
Well, my concern, I look in the banner here, they specifically make a blatantly, obviously wrong assertion that the committee I served on was seeking to form an investigative body overseeing police activities. That was never a point of discussion. But I think, personally, I am disappointed that there's not a more vigorous and loud public response to what I see are character assassinations against the community of Bennington and the good people of Bennington who are trying to do good things. And I realize it's a political beast, but I myself don't like the idea of, don't spit in my face and tell me it's raining. Okay, clean things up. But this banner article and this ACLU and NAACP commentary, in my mind, is nothing more than a hit job. And I don't appreciate it, and I really wish the town board was much more assertive and demanding clarification and honesty from these people when they proclaim to be looking out for the best interest of the people of Bennington. I don't know where they were at every meeting I went to. If they were so interested, that door was never locked.
Jean, did...
Yeah, we share your frustration. And I would strongly encourage you, because you're such a good speaker and you have a way with words, to write a letter to the editor, basically saying what you just said at the podium.
Okay. If I may approach the final element here.
Well, I don't know what it is.
It's the race car.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Clark,
Thank you. Okay.
Clark, your frustration is shared by any of us, all of us who worked on this issue. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So again, thank you, and you know, as community members, you are always welcome to share your thoughts. All right. So with that, let's move on. Okay. Did you just come in? All right. Okay. Yep. Kelly, come on up. I'll put you down. Yep. Go ahead.
My name is Kelly Carroll. I'm from Bennington, and I just wanted to remind everyone that this is the third Saturday of the month coming up, which means it's time for the monthly Willow River Walk. And this month there's a couple of changes. First of all, it's going to be called the Willow Downtown River Walk, and the walk is now actually going to start in People's Park. It's going to go up the River Walk to Park Street, over Park, down Pleasant, over School, and then down Main and over North. So it's going to actually make a loop, and they're going to start to recognize some businesses along the way. So it's Father's Day weekend. There's a lot going on. If you've got family home, it's a great free event. It is open to everyone. It is pet friendly. It is child friendly. The more the merrier. Come and meet your neighbors and enjoy the beautiful downtown river walk. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, now, Dan, yes, get up again, please. So we're moving on to skate park update.
Okay, so I'm going to be very brief because I'm going to bring up Jeff Metcalf, who's done all the hard work on this project to date, or most of it anyways, in cahoots with MSK Engineering. So you folks will remember after Jeff's, I think, excellent presentation about his the vision of the people he is working with for a skate park in Bennington. A fairly ambitious plan, I think, as you will recall, a covered park in addition to a traditional park. And Jeff has been working with his team to come up with a conceptual design, which he will be presenting this evening to you folks. And town staff continues to work with him and his team as we try to bring this project forward. But the next step is to take a look at some conceptual plans, and Jeff Metcalf from Keefe & Westner is here today to present those to you folks. So, Jeff, come on up. I think I do have a...
Yeah, Jamie said I could use his. Oh, okay. So, bring it over and just set that up. All right. So as Dan said, my name's Jeff Metcalf. I'm with Keefe & Westner Architects. I'm part of a group of professionals and volunteers who started working on this project, including MSK Engineering and what we call unofficially the Skate Park Committee. This is a follow-up to our March presentation where we were talking in generalities, but basically what we have done since then in talking to the town and meeting with the Skate Park Committee, we've come up with some concepts that we want to present tonight. Now, again, keeping in mind that this is very high level, we have not really dug into any of the specifics. But
So I'm just going to go over each of the components, first of which is the location. So based on a number of conversations, we feel that the best potential site for this is the existing Bennington Station parking lot. On the south end of that parking lot, there's a grassy area that is currently existing and adjacent to the river. So we like this area for a number of reasons. Number one, we can put the majority of what we're trying to do in that area without impacting parking, which is important. The majority of that area is also cut off by a floodway, which is a place that you can't quite, it's probably hard to see, but there's a line that sort of runs through the area here that is the floodway. And the floodway means you're not allowed to build inside of that, certainly not buildings. But what we are allowed to do is the skate park. The skate park is a concrete landscaped area, and so you're allowed to do that sort of thing because the floodway, it's all about volumes and other things. I mean, it's more complex than that, but that's the general idea. So we can potentially use an area that's otherwise useless. The other thing that we love is it's just a nice location. When you walk out there, it's sort of central to the town. It has a nice feel when you're over there. There's shade from the trees along the river. There are some existing trees there that will probably be impacted, but otherwise it's quite a nice and inviting location. And it's also adjacent to a large parking lot. So in the event that this thing does go well, and the big goals like having competitions and other things, that's going to lend itself to that nicely. So this is the general area that we're talking about. And that area consists of about 13,000 square feet of green space. And we are figuring that we would need to capture about 2,000 additional square feet here of the parking lot. Just to we need approximately 15,000 square feet to do what we need to do. So the idea would be to take a little bit of the parking, but it's 2,000 square feet, so minimal. And again, minimal impact on parking. It's going to have some impact, but it will be, the idea is to minimize it. The majority of this area would be concrete with skating features scattered in sort of a flowing style conducive to modern skating. And when I say flowing, what that means is that if you watch videos on skate parks, the way that this works, it's not all half pipes and individual components. It's a thing where you can actually drop into this bowl and you can skate lines that will just go continuously. And it's just a lot of fun. It's fun to watch, and it's fun for the kids and for the adults that do it. Ideally, and let me just show you the skate. So this is the concept that we have right now. Again, very high level. This will change fairly dramatically, I think, but this gives you kind of the idea. What you'll see in this sort of isometric 3D rendering version are areas of stairs, railings, some half pipes, or quarter pipes, I should say, and a number of other bowl-type features that will give you that speed and ability to flow. In the plan here, you'll see that this all is currently concrete. Our goal would be to actually introduce some green spaces within it to soften it, but also create some interesting features for the park itself. The other piece of this that you'll see on the site plan, the existing bike path that is there, well, it actually kind of meanders through the green a little bit more. We're going to need to relocate that a little bit further to the south, maintain it, of course, but we need a little bit more room for what we're doing. And then the idea from that would be we would try to make it a little bit more integral into the park. So that way, mom and dad are riding with their little ones. They can drop into the park, bike through or skate through, meet them on the other end. Mom and dad can stay safe and out of harm's way. And again, in my opinion, I think the relocation of the bike path is also interesting. Puts you a little closer to the river, and we all know that that's a big part of that path is its relationship to the river. The other component to this is a building. So, as I said, so the floodway is here and it dips off. So we feel like there's a structure that needs to relate to this. In the concept right now, we have a 3,000 square foot, it's 50 by 60 as it's designed right now. So we have a building in the corner of the lot that's outside of the floodway. The building, we're imagining this building, at least again at high level, as being a steel structure, relatively open, very simple. We have to make it very economical to build based on budgets. But it would be, again, a metal building, obviously with some design flair, hopefully to make it nice. It would have metal roof. And then two sides of the building, here and here, will have garage doors. We're thinking probably on the order of 6 garage doors. 2/3 of that building is actually going to be an indoor skate park. So, and that'll be more of a bowl. It'll look like a big swimming pool with curves and copings and other things that will allow for extended use. So now kids can go there in the winter, practice, but then in the summertime, the 6 garage doors open and it becomes a part of the park. So that's kind of the idea, is that it will be useful in the winter and great, but it'll also become part of that flowing park that we're looking for in the warmer months. The other pieces, again, high level, are we have bathrooms for the event that, ideally this thing does become a place where we can invite people from all over the country to come and compete. So we'll have to have bathrooms. We have a small office for a staff person or staff people for managing. And then we have also some retail. So the idea, again, big picture, is that we would have some retail space where we can sell skateboards, skateboard parts. We can have repairs. Kids that don't know how to work on these things can bring it there, and the staff member can help them fix, buy upgrades, and then also safety equipment, helmets and such. Okay. This will not just be for skateboarding, of course. Bikes and other, razors, scooters, and all those kinds of things will be welcome, but it'll be predominantly skateboard, I suspect. So that retail brings up this, one of the big discussions has been staffing. The idea with this building is to not put a giant burden on the town to have to maintain it and staff it and all of that. The skate park committee ideally wants to have at least one staff member that would be full-time. And that's going to be contingent on how well it's done and what we can attract. Obviously, to be full-time, they need enough to do. So between retail, managing the park, kind of keeping an eye on things, open it up for when it's winter and we need to use the building, that sort of thing, deciding when the doors get open and closed. All that kind of stuff will drive how many hours we need this person to be. We are committed to the idea that that would happen. We would have that. So again, all things to be worked out, but normal operating hours, we were thinking, again, we would have to figure out, but that'll all come together. The intended use, too, is something that we need to work through, whether we charge for a membership or it's open to the public. We certainly would want to charge for things like training, so the staff member could potentially be someone that can help educate the kids and work with them, coach them. We would charge for admission for tournaments, or competitions, I should say, that sort of thing. So that's all stuff that is in the works, been highly discussed, and we just need to decide where we're headed with it. We've also done some estimated costs. We have talked to a couple of park designers, and the general consensus that we're looking at about $50, $55 a square foot for the park itself. So that comes to about $750,000 if we're truly 15,000 square feet. We have a building that we're hoping would land in the $500,000 range, $500,000, which is ambitious, but I think, potential. So a total of $1.25 million is what we're thinking all in this costs. And that would be we would go after, obviously there's funds allocated that we talked about in the last meeting from the town, from the monies that have been given, as well as a major fundraising campaign. We do plan to, so as far as fundraising goes, our game plan is we're going to consult with a fundraising professional, and between that and a committee of people that are going to help spearhead that. So we are actively going after getting some advice on how to approach that. As of right now, between myself and Keith and Westner, MSK, and Tito Parada with the platform group, everything done to date's been free. So we have all donated our time and our services to get us to this point, and happy to do so, to help. Our next step at this point is to take this to the next level. I'm going to design the building. We have been in conversation with Tito about doing an official design. So again, this design is, we gave him the space and he said, all right, here you go. We didn't really give him a lot of input. He just threw something together so we could give a general idea how this thing might look. Visuals are helpful, obviously. So from there, we'd like to hire Tito to come in and design it based on our parameters, what we're trying to do, including trees, things like that. I have a pretty good idea of the building side of it, so I can help with that. And MSK is on board to help where we can. At some point, donated services will come to an end. We'll have to pay our bills as well. But for right now, we're all committed to help. The one piece of this that we can't continue to get necessarily free from is, because they're not invested in the town like we are, is the skate park. That's a specialty thing. So we've been actively talking to a couple of skate park designers, including Tito and one or two others, to get a sense of what it would cost to do a more official concept design. My goal would be to come back here in a couple months with rendered 3D color, really nice drawings that we can both use to present what our final idea is, but also use it for fundraising as we move forward. So what we're asking from the town right now is if they potentially could commit to around $5,000 based on what we're getting from these other, I finally got some numbers today, we've been waiting for a while. We're looking for around $5,000 to earmark to help pay for that so that there's some input from that. We just don't have the infrastructure for it yet, so that's kind of where we're at. We're asking for a little bit of help on that end so that we can hire these people. Will be, and we'll present final funds for all the soft costs once we get to that, but for right now, that's what we're looking at. And I think that's it.
I've got a question, if I may.
Well, then start us off.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fire away.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And
You're welcome.
I think the skate park is a wonderful idea, and when it came to a vote among citizens, that was the #1 choice for the ARPA funds. You said something though that causes me a little concern. I hope you can suss it out for me. And that is that you said that you might charge fees for membership.
Yeah, I mean, that was discussed. So what we have to figure out is, ideally, the skate park itself is open to the public, the main outdoor. So there was discussion about how do we manage the interior when it's open in the winter, because obviously that can't just be open. We have to find ways to make enough money to at least have that staff person on site. I don't know that, I'm not implying that we would have, little Timmy drops into the bowl and we're going to run out there and say, no, that would not be the intention.
Well, fundamentally, this is going to be owned by the town of Bennington.
Yeah, right. No, absolutely. Yeah.
And as far as any fees scheduled, it would be up to the select board.
Oh, absolutely.
To decide
and that's why
that.
I say this is all just conceptual discussion.
Yeah. However, when it comes to tournaments that you're going to sponsor, then I think that it would make sense to charge fees, and out of those fees, give one of those deserving kids a great big jet.
Jet?
Jet.
Jet, okay. It's like, need more ARPA funds. Okay, sorry.
Anyway, that's it for me.
Okay. Yes, no, I didn't mean to imply that we were going to charge immediately. It's just, those are all the discussions we've had, is how do we make sure that we can have staff members so it's not a burden on the town with income coming from the town. Obviously, that can't happen, so we need to just make sure that we can, and those are all just discussions we have to have.
Great. Any other questions on this end of the table right now? No? Question? Yes.
Yeah. I just want to make sure, you didn't mention there was going to be a bathroom in the building. Just anyone who's listening, there is a bathroom included in the building.
Oh, I did, yes.
Yeah,
no, there will be bathrooms.
Okay, maybe you did mention it, maybe I missed it. Okay.
That's okay.
I'm just curious. This is fantastic. I'm so excited. I wish I was about 50 years younger. Are there a skate park like this, are there actual hours that it's open and closed, or is it just open all the time? I understand that building is something different.
Right. No, I think that the skate park would essentially be operational. In fact, we've had discussions about whether or not we light it and that sort of thing. I think right now there are path lights that would have to be slightly relocated for the bike path. And my sense is that might be enough, because I don't know that we want to promote 2 o'clock in the morning skate sessions, but we also do want it to be something that can be utilized throughout the day.
Okay.
Similar to some of the other skate parks, I think, again, the staff person's not going to be there to share with people, so we need this to be, functional and self-sustaining as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. It would,
so is it, and this leads to my my third question or comment, is it actually like fenced in? And the reason I'm asking that was the open and closed question. And also, I just noticed, I believe the entrance to the park off of Depot Street basically abuts the skate park. Is that, I'm assuming it's safe, then the kids aren't going to end up, in the driveway where people are pulling in?
So we'll need certainly guardrails in certain locations.
Okay.
There'll be features that are going to be high enough where you can't, you have to have guardrails. So in that scenario, I think ideally it's not fenced off. We don't want it to feel like it's in its own compound. We want it to feel like it's part of the environment. So no, we wouldn't necessarily fence it off, but there will be, certainly on this end, whatever we do. So right now, the idea would that's more of a bowl.
Okay.
So we would definitely have to do things that would protect them from being in the parking lot. Just keeping it safe for sure. Because we need to really maximize the use of the spot so that we don't steal any more than we need.
Yep.
But at the same time, we need to make it safe.
I figured that was your answer, but I still had to ask the question.
No, I think it's a good question.
Great. Another question, Sarah, Bruce? So I have 2. So when we see the next iteration of the rendering, is this an all or nothing, so that if we don't raise the funds, we don't get the skate park, or are there different, we'll do this if we raise this much money? I mean, how are you thinking about that?
That's certainly been a conversation. I think, and that's kind of where I'm going with the bigger, so in the skate park committee's idea is that this becomes a place. It's a real destination. People come through here in the winter and want to pop in when they're going skiing to hit the bowl and skate. So ideally, the closer we get to the actual idea, the more that becomes viable, the more having a staff member becomes viable, and the more use we'll get out of it. If the money's not there, I think that there are certain ways we can cut back. And, having conversations with the skate park designer and how we potentially can phase it or other approaches, that's certainly something we'll look at.
Okay.
Because I think there's certain, you can add. I mean, worst case scenario, if we can't get there, which hopefully we can, we can certainly add and design it in such a way that we can do that.
Okay. And then my other question is about the $5,000 that you're asking for. So that is to get a more accurate rendering, right?
Right.
How does that happen? I mean, will you put out bids? How will you decide who's gonna do the rendering?
Right. So we're in conversation with a couple different designers right now, and I think it's going to come down to cost. The gentleman that has donated services to this point is a friend of one of the park committee members, and he's offered to really work with us. And ultimately, they'd love a real stab at doing the actual. So most of these skate park designers are also the builders, and so big picture, they'd love to do the park itself. And so we have to vet that all out. But, in a perfect world, I think that if we can get a continued additional donated services, they're talking about giving us, working with us on the cost, knowing it's a municipal project. If we can get that, especially based on friendships and other things, then that's going to help us on the front end with, lowering those costs. So we'll go that route. Certainly a cost is going to be a big factor for this piece. Once we get past that, we'll have to discuss whether we bid or we select based on experience and other things. So there'll be a process for that.
Okay.
But there aren't a lot of them that do it. So.
Yeah, so are there any, I mean, this is a public-private partnership, so
yes.
are there any things we should be aware of in terms of
That was going to be my question. I'm wondering to what degree, I mean, if we're talking about it as a municipal project, that's one thing. It's a public-private partnership, but we have certain requirements, do we not, to, I'm looking to the manager.
I'm Dean Stewart.
Our initial conversations with the state of Vermont is that the property must be used and available to the public.
Right. But
so that's the public piece of it, beyond ARPA funding.
At least at this point, we don't know if there are any restrictions about the private portion of it, but we are required to make it available to the public, and that's...
Absolutely. That I don't have a question about. My question is about the use of the $5,000 and the regulations that we would have to do. Do we require a RFP for something? I didn't think that's still too low.
There's two ways you can look at that. You can say, okay, this is going to be town funded with the private partners, and we would work with them to solicit the bids and review them and make a choice collectively. So there's one way to do that. And if you look at our purchasing policy, given the low amount of this, it's essentially soliciting 3 bids and choosing the best one. That's our town policy. Now, you folks as the select board could say, you know what, these folks are going with it, they're running with it, we're going to authorize the town just to give to this organization up to $5,000 to do this project, to do this portion of the project. So it's really how you want to do it. I think it's the same outcome. I mean,
I do too.
Because of our close relationship, we're going to work together. We're not going to pick someone that we don't feel comfortable moving forward with together, because this is a project with the town and the private partners. So it's really up to you folks. It's the same outcome.
And just, if I could just clarify for myself, I'm gathering that it's not likely that we're going to get more than 3. I mean, 3 bids would be what we would be expecting, essentially.
Yeah, I think and that might be a stretch, just based on...
That's what I was wondering. That's to me is because of the numbers.
I'm struggling to get 3 bids for residential jobs. I can't get people to bid, period.
I understand that.
But yeah, we have been in conversation with a couple. Some are not necessarily returning calls quickly.
Right.
Certainly the person that's involved at this level have been favors called in. So that's been a great benefit.
So,
and then there is another one that we've talked to.
Okay, so that answers my question.
Okay. Jim, you had a question?
With regard to the $5,000, I'd be reluctant to vote for that tonight. But if you could have whomever these designers, if you find 3, give us an estimate based on their renderings, I think that's the way that I would rather go.
Based on which renderings? This, you mean?
Well, whatever the final concept would be.
Let me just push back a little bit on that. You guys are asking us to move this project forward. Staff is ready, willing, and able to do that. We're doing that with Ben High. We're doing that with all the other ARPA projects.
Yep.
If you want us to come back at every micromanagement point of this, it'll take us 10 years to get it done. If you think this is a good project, you want us to proceed, certainly if you want us to solicit 3 bids, we'll happily do that. We may only get 2, we may only get 1. We'll review them, we'll choose the best one to move forward. I don't want to turn this into, every 2 weeks we have to come forward for every step we want to do. We'll get the concept, we'll bring it back to you folks, and then you'll say yes, go forward or not from there. Otherwise, this will take a really, really long time to get done.
Yeah, I think, Dan, our bigger concern was just making sure that what we were doing was legal, that we were following the guidelines, and it sounds like we are.
Right. And
so, yeah.
And if I could clarify, is that not essentially the process we used with regard to the playground?
Yes.
So I'm comfortable using the same process we used for the playground.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the playground you did an RFP for.
We did.
It's much more expensive.
Yeah.
It wasn't 5,000.
It wasn't 5,000.
Oh, okay. And ARPA doesn't require it. Okay. So then we're over.
Yeah, so I have another question.
Yes.
So everybody that you're getting bids from, will they have spaces that are good for competing? Will everything be up to competitive specs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea would be to design something that would be usable for that. That's what part of the reason you need them. I mean, we
Okay.
all kind of have some sense of, grade. It's certainly the guys that I'm working with, they've skated their whole lives, so they have an idea what they want. So they'll drive that, they'll put together sort of the program for that, and then these guys will say, no, you can't do that, you got to do this, and yeah, ideally, we want something that will be conducive to use as a competition center, for sure.
Thank you.
Great, great. Any other questions?
It's
Stu?
not a question, it's a concern.
Okay.
And I mentioned this to my staff, and I don't know whether it got back to you, Jeff, or not, but these trees were donated to the town of Bennington by Japanese employees of NASTEC when it first came here. So I would encourage us to find a way to at least save those that are healthy and alive, if it means relocating them or however, and working them into design.
Sure.
I'd like to do that.
Yeah, and ideally, I think, both of the schemes that we got, this was the better of the two, and the one I presented. In both cases, they tried to, this one, I think, saved 2, and then the other one, I think, maybe it saved 3, and we can certainly work with that.
It's probably a little bit late to be asking this question, but Stu, I'm assuming liability insurance were covered. It's skate at your own risk kind of a situation?
If it's operated as a town facility, we will have liability insurance.
Okay.
Any other questions? Someone interested in making a motion to allocate $5,000?
I would make the motion that the select board allocate up to $5,000 for design work and obtaining a designer.
I'll second that motion.
Great. Any more discussion?
Should I say that they're from ARPA?
They are from ARPA.
Let me just say that
Okay.
up to $5,000 of ARPA funding.
Great,
That makes better sense to me.
great, okay. All right, so all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Any abstentions? Great, thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
I think we already voted. I'm sorry, we just voted. You're right, I didn't, but we've already voted on it, so I'm gonna I think we're moving on. Thank you.
Is this Bennington taxpayer homeland?
Yeah. Is this what?
Is it Bennington taxpayer?
Yes, yes.
But the taxpayers don't have a right to ask a question.
This will be back. This will be back, so. All right, so next up, another exciting project, right? Southern Vermont Communications Union District update with Eric Hatch.
Yes, it is exciting, I think. Hi, my name is Eric Hatch. I'm the chair of the Southern Vermont Communications Union District, or CUD for short. And the CUD is 13 of the 17 towns in Bennington County plus Londonderry, for a total of 14 towns comprised of the CUD. And the challenge that we were faced with, that we all know about, is getting universal internet access to everyone in Vermont, rural or in the downtown areas. And we have not had that opportunity, but I'm happy to report that this year that has changed. So the solution, the nut has been cracked to provide fiber to everyone in Bennington, as well as all underserved folks in Bennington, the Bennington Communications Union District. So how did we do that? Many things came together, and I often say that the stars were aligned to get us to what we are able to talk about tonight and in the next 18 months, where the CUDs, which are municipal entities, were created by the legislature to try and solve this problem at more of a local level than certainly from a federal, but even at a state-wide program. And so what the CUDs were envisioned to do is to have nearby towns join together to try and solve their particular needs, because every region is different. Our region in southwestern Vermont has a lot of cable relative to the rest of the state, and so our approach needed to be a little bit different than, say, someone in the Northeast Kingdom. And so the CUDs had that. We also decided early on as a CUD that we wanted to partner, a public-private partnership, which has really borne a lot of fruit for us. And that's with Consolidated. Consolidated had their strategic plan to come into the Bennington area. We partnered with them and we helped broaden the scope of what that investment was going to be and what it could look like. And so that allowed us to marry our CUD mission of universal access with a provider who has the capability, expertise, and willingness to help us go that final mile. And of course, the stars of funding fell into place. Initially, the CUD was going to be a very long-term proposition to get everyone wired, but you know, the silver linings of where we've been in the past couple of years, we're getting that funding, and this partnership with Consolidated allows us to, this year, have really tangible results, which I'll talk about. So the big exciting news for Bennington, the town of Bennington, is that everyone, there will be complete fiber rollout and availability to everyone in Bennington, except for a few folks on Skippery and the south end of Mount Anthony Road this year. They'll get it next year. But everyone else will have access to fiber optic internet. Or if they have cable now and it's not going to be covered by fiber, they will have it. So everyone in Bennington will have high-speed internet access by the end of this year. Consolidated and the CUD have a three-phase plan. Phase one is this year, and that is covering Bennington, most of Shaftesbury, Woodford, 4 or 5 homes in Glastonbury, and a little bit of Pownell with fiber this year. And because of our partnership with Consolidated, where we are going to be bringing these federal and state funds to them for phase two, they are covering 500 homes in Bennington that they otherwise would not cover because of the traditional, they're too far and too costly to come out to. So that's been another really good benefit that we're realizing with the partnership. And Consolidated, like I mentioned, this is phase one, which is all of 2022. Consolidated is ahead of schedule than where they thought they would be, which is really exciting news. They have all of the fiber purchased, so they're not running into the supply constraints that many folks are around the country. And they also have the labor. And so that's why they're ahead of schedule. They're really, hopefully seeing the trucks with big spools and the crews running around town. So that's phase one, and that's going to be finished by the end of this year. Phase two is the rest of the communications district. So the rest of Pownell, all the way up to Dorset, Peru, Londonderry, which is in it, Landgrove. So. And that is really where the CUD funding comes in, because up until that point, Consolidated is funding with their private investment dollars. So, for Bennington itself, this year, everyone will have it. And if you want to know when it's going to be available, if it's going to be available in your area, you can go to the Consolidated website and put your address in. So you can find that by Googling Bennington, Vermont fiber, or you can go to Fidium Fiber. Fidium is the product that Consolidated is selling. So if you go and buy a package, it would be Fidium, which is the residential package. And there's a button up there that says check availability, put your address in, and you can elect to be notified when they're going to come back through your area after they've wired it to connect you to their fiber. And it's entirely a fiber network that they are putting in, so it's very future-proof. The offerings are going to be at the low end is a 50 megabits per second, which is really fast. It's a lot faster than you get certainly from DSL, but even with cable. Then you can go to 250 up to 1 gigabit, and that's upload and download at the same speed. So it's blazingly fast, it's future-proof, it's more reliable, it's easier to maintain, and so it's really a great competitive advantage really for Bennington County to have all of this fiber in place. It's a real infrastructural benefit and asset for things to build on top of that fiber backbone. So the third phase is what we call the hardest 100. Those are folks who are really outliers geographically to wire centers where you can run a wire to them, a cable, internet, fiber optic cable. Those folks will not be, most likely not served by Consolidated. The CUD will be going out and looking at those individual folks for other providers like Verizon or Xfinity or other CUDs like our neighboring Otter Creek or Deerfield Valley. I'm happy to say that there were 3 addresses in Bennington on the hardest 100, but they are not eligible for it because they are not connected to the grid. So everyone in Bennington is not on the hardest 100. And that's the other thing that I want to mention, that a good thing about the CUD program and what the state has tried to do with getting everyone connected is if your building, your residence, your house is connected to the electrical grid, you will qualify to get connected with internet service. And that's in part to help with the housing crisis. So if folks have a camp or a house that they only go to a little bit, if it's on the grid and it has fiber, then maybe they will convert that to a full-time or open it up for rental or something. I encourage everyone to really go to fidiumfiber.com or Google Consolidated Bennington, Vermont, check for availability, sign up. The lowest package that they are offering is the 50 megabits, which is amazingly fast, and it is, I think, $40 the first year, $55 thereafter every month, and it does, Consolidated is a partner in the federal internet access subsidy, so folks can get, if you qualify with limited income, you can get a $30 credit per month. So you can really get world-class fiber internet for a very affordable price, we hope. And the last thing that I'll mention is thank yous to the folks who have been involved in this. The select board, the Consolidated, we meet with them once a month, once a week, and they have had great feedback to say that they've really appreciated working in the town of Bennington, coordinating through Stu and the police department and the facilities, but also the community in Bennington. Everyone has been very positive, patient, and appreciative of all that, the work that's been going on. So we're almost there, so check to see if you have access, and it'll soon be available. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any board questions? This is really super. Yeah.
I'm just curious, are all of you volunteers?
We are, yes.
You coming after the skateboard committee, it's like the volunteerism in this community is just incredible. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Community questions? Yes, please, Tortoise.
Hi, I'm Tortoise Disselhart from Bennington. My question is, what about people who already have a contract with Consolidated? At the moment, I have internet access and one landline, and I'm paying $120 a month. And they offer all sorts of other services that I don't want. So I've been thinking about going elsewhere. There wasn't much to choose from, but maybe now there is.
That's a great question, and others are looking to see what they have for cable offerings to see if they just want to go streaming. But with Consolidate, if you already have a contract, you can convert that to a fiber contract at the lower rate. They do offer phone service for an additional charge on that. They don't offer TV, but they have alliances with like YouTube TV and some other streaming services.
I'm set with TV.
Okay.
At the minimum with Comcast. But it's, one landline and the internet access.
Yeah, so if you want to keep your landline, you absolutely can. Some people want to keep their traditional copper-based landline. Some people are happy moving over to an internet-based phone, which is called voice over IP, and I think that's like $12 a month as an addition to that package. So it's actually going to cost you less to get better performance with this.
Good. Great question. Yes, please.
Clark Adams, you touched on non-landline telephone service. One of the things I've discovered in Bennington is I can't call anybody from my front yard on my cell phone, but if I go in the backyard, I can. And of course, I'm at the car dealership, and they'll be trying to call me to tell me something wrong with my car. News to me. But I'm just wondering, is this program you described going to have an impact on actual, cell phone coverage within the community, or is that a pipe dream?
That, I'm sorry to say, is not part of it. However, I will add, though, once we have this infrastructure in place in our town and county, it's much easier for mobile providers to come in because they have to connect to fiber. And now that we have put fiber everywhere, they can put stuff like smaller towers and more frequent towers. But this particular program does not help that, unfortunately.
Great. Any more questions? No? That was such a nice update. Thank you. Makes us happy. All right. So thank you. All right. So moving on. Next up, we have the boards and commissions appointments. And I understand, Stuart, you have some extra copies of boards and of the slate if needed. But I do just want to say that for the second year in a row, we received more applications for seats on the town boards and commissions than we had openings, which is a really, really wonderful sign. We have a slate of appointments for 18 open seats, and the people who signed up to that, put in applications were a mix of longtime residents and also people that were new, in some cases remarkably new to our community. And it's, always so interesting to hear from people about why they want to step up and serve their community. Of the appointments that are on the slate, 11 are new to their seats, 7 are reappointments. And the applicants that we interviewed were incredibly well informed about goings-on in Bennington. They had read relevant documents for the positions they were seeking, including having read the town plan, the land use regulations, the TIF map, and the charter, and the community policing materials. I mean, it was really remarkable what people walked in already knowing about. And so, as you can imagine, it's a really nice range of skills and talents, and we're really, really pleased with it. And to a person, everyone was just so enthusiastic about making Bennington the best community that it can be. So, you know, we were really pleased with that. So I think I'm going to ask Bruce if he would read the people that are being nominated to be on boards for this coming year.
Okay, so I will read names, but I will also give you the class that they're in. All of these start at the end, well, they start now.
They start now, as soon as
they start now. So I'll just give you the year. For the Development Review Board, there are 3 positions, 2 for the class of 2025, Jane Radokia and Dan Malmberg, and for the class of 2024, Ron Hashi. Housing Authority, 1 position open for the class of 2027, Sharon Brush. The Planning Commission, 2 positions open, class of 2024, Evan Yadeski, and for the class of 2026, Nick Lassoff. Energy Committee, 2 positions open, both for the class of 2023, Mary Rogers and Chris Bates. For the Regional Commission, 1 position open for the class of 2024, Dan Monks. Board of Listers, 2 positions open, both for the class of 2024, Carol Holm and Peter Green. For the Community Policing Advisory Review Board, 7 positions open. For the class of 2024, Marsh Hudson Knapp, Will Greer, Robert Ebert, Jeff Vickers. For the class of 2025, David Birch, Kelly Carroll, Scott Richmond. And the liaisons from the town, for the Select Board liaison to the Bennington Free Library, class of 2023, non-voting, Jeannie Jenkins. For the Better Bennington Corporation, liaisons non-voting, class of 2023, non-voting, Bruce Lee Clark and Sarah Perrin. And for the Town of Bennington's Energy Committee Select Board member, this is a voting member, but not office holding, class of 2023, Gary Corey.
Super. So, any discussion?
I move their election first.
Then,
and
okay.
then we'll have a discussion.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I think we had a lot of great applicants, although I do wish that one person had been appointed. He had several decades of federal law enforcement under his belt, and I think that he would have provided balance to the board, the CPART board.
Okay. So, do we, let's see, do we need a second for that?
I don't think
Just somebody
so.
second it. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I don't think so, but it's okay if we get one.
Yeah, I think it's fine. All right, so with that, could I ask everyone in favor of this slate to please say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Please say no. Any abstentions? No. And I know we have a couple people in the audience. If you want to come up and just introduce yourself that are on this slate, you can. If you rather stay in your seat, you also can. We'll just have a moment here.
Hi, everybody. Evan Yadeski, class of 2024, Planning Commission. Thank you very much for the nomination. Graciously accept and happy to get started immediately. So
great.
Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Oh, okay.
Hi, Kelly Carroll from Bennington, CPARP class of 2025, I think. I want to thank you for the opportunity. I think Bennington is a great area. It's a great place to live, and I want to do my best to make it more welcoming and whatever I can do. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I didn't want to be the odd one out and not come up and introduce myself. My name is Will Greer. I'm class of 2024, I believe, and I think I heard a rumor that I might be the youngest person on the board, 19. I am a college student, but I definitely want the community to know that they can always come to me with any questions and concerns that they have about the board. I hope that we're very active, and I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you all. We are really, really excited. It's yeah, really great board appointments. So wonderful. All right. And so with that, let's move on to implementing the town vision. Jean, you are up on the ADA plan.
Yeah, I just have a quick update. You may remember that, I don't even know, is there an official title to the three of us? I'm not really sure. But we met with Jeannie, myself, and Paul Danzero, who's the health inspector, and he has lots of other hats that he wears as well, met with 2 employees of Vermont Center for Independent Living, or VCIL. Charlie Murphy was one of them, and Peter, I'm guessing it's Johnke? Is that how you say his name? Okay. We met on May 25th on Zoom to discuss the accessibility of the 1995, the outdated 1995 Town of Bennington ADA self-evaluation and transition plan. 1995 was a long time ago, so it's clearly outdated and needs to be looked at again. We really were we spent the time on Zoom brainstorming and just getting to know each other and talking about projects that we possibly should take on as a community, some of which were public access to town buildings. We talked about the timeline, the cost, whether there's funding available to make changes, to make our buildings more accessible. We brainstormed lots and lots of ideas. We talked about looking at what other communities have done and look at best practices that have worked in their towns. We talked about becoming aware, and Paul would be implementing this piece, is being aware of building code changes that are coming down the pike, so we're ahead of the curve and doing the most current improvements that would benefit the disabled population. We have scheduled a walkabout on June 29th, where Charlie and Peter, I believe, are both coming to town with others as well. I don't remember their names. And we're going to walk about. We're going to check out the buildings and see what improvements can be made. I'm really looking forward to that. So I don't know, Jeannie, feel free to chime in if I missed anything.
I was just going to say it's a walk and roll.
A walk and roll. There you go.
And actually, it's some local users
will be coming. Oh, that's fabulous. Anyway, it was a fantastic phone call on Zoom, or whatever you want to call it, virtual meeting. It was really, really enjoyable, and it's a very proactive group. They have a vested interest in it, obviously, as we do, because of our town vision.
Lovely. Okay. All right. And yes, this is the subcommittee, and Tom is a member of this as well. He just wasn't able to be there for the action steps for declaration of inclusion. All right. So I think that's, I do want to say that there are some small tweaks that are happening to the CPARB training schedule, and we're finalizing those now. Everyone that was appointed has those dates, but we're still finalizing some venues. So we will make that public, and we'll take the request that we make clear what is open to the public on that training schedule available as well. All right. Anything else on that? I think we're ready for manager's report.
All right.
Can it be?
Once again, we have road closures to act upon. As you know, the BBC is sponsoring some Thursday evening events throughout the summer. They have requested that the area of Pleasant Street from north, I have Main in my notes, north to the entrance to the parking lot be closed during the events. They want to bring some vendors down to the facility, and now with the new fencing and landscaping around the splash pad, they kind of ran out of room to put them along the fence line, so we're going to allow them to place them in the park if you all agree. The second is to expand the Harvest Fest road closures to include Pleasant Street from North to School. It is the hope that with the food vendors and others on School, they'll circle around to Pleasant, the goal being to try to get people to get down to the splash pad where entertainment will be provided during Harvest Fest and create some sort of a circular pattern. So I look for a motion to close those streets as mentioned.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
I've got a question, Stu.
Well, can we second it? Would someone second this?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. You have a question?
Yeah, the second request, you closing Pleasant Street from north to, oh, okay, I misread this, okay. No, it was the first one. Close Pleasant Street from Main to the entrance of the public park.
It's from North Street to the...
Is that going to affect any of the...
The businesses have all been notified and they are participating.
Okay, good.
So I'm told.
Great. All right. So any other questions? No? Then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Please say no. Abstentions. All right, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The second action item is to set dates for the Water Sewer Fund budget work sessions. You all received those fund budgets this evening. We're looking to either set an evening meeting, say from 5 to 7 or 7:30, or a Saturday morning, depending on the board's desire.
I'd rather do Saturday mornings personally.
Do you want to circulate some times for us, some dates for us?
Well,
I mean, or
I can tell you
what are people's, you can't
What's
do a
the
weekend,
deadline?
right? So we need to do a weekday, it sounds like.
Yes, my availability is
How are
not very,
Mondays?
very limited.
How are Mondays for you?
Very limited as well.
Are there
Tuesday through Friday.
Tuesday through
Thursdays.
Friday is Tuesday
Thursdays.
through Thursday?
Yes.
Unfortunately, the two staff that are principally responsible for the water and sewer fund budgets will be unavailable the 16th, 17th, and the 23rd, 24th, which are Thursdays and Fridays of 2 consecutive weeks in a row. So we should be looking at a Wednesday night, if at all possible, or perhaps...
Okay,
by the end of this month?
Pardon me?
By the end of this month?
Well, technically, we should have it in place before July 2nd or 3rd.
I always like to have things done before they're due. I mean, that's
yes.
So,
yes.
How about the 22nd?
Technically, the fiscal,
what's the 22nd look like?
The next fiscal year starts on July 2nd.
Right.
Can we do
what
July?
Does the 22nd
Can we do
look like?
June 22nd? Will that work for everyone?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Holy cow.
That is amazing. Let's take it.
Thank you very much.
All right. June 22nd and the time?
We'll start at 5 and go till probably, they're pretty straightforward budgets as usual, so if we set up a 2.5-hour meeting, we'll be out of there in an hour and a half.
Okay. So 5 to 8.
He said, okay, you say so. Thanks, Jeannie.
Here?
We'll do them here, yes.
Okay, perfect.
And we'll try to get Cat TV to join us so they're televised.
Great.
Or at least recorded and played later.
Okay.
Two follow-up notes. June 20th this year is Juneteenth, the federal holiday. The town offices and all of our employees will be celebrating the holiday with a day off, except of course for the police who will be working on that particular day. And the second thing, when I wrote this, we were hoping that Morgan Springs, the new delivery system, would be available for use by the 24th. It now looks like it'll be available for use by the end of this week. The unfortunate part is that the fencing and the landscaping is not done yet. So whether or not we start allowing trucks in before those things are completed is a question that I'll be dealing with staff and the vendors on. Obviously, we'd like to relocate as soon as possible, but we don't want to do that and end up disturbing our neighbors because we haven't done everything we were required to do by the DRB.
Right.
All right, so we'll stay tuned. Great. And then there's new workout equipment.
Yes, yes. I'm told that the Y has replaced all of the older workout equipment at the rec center. I'm also told it's really neat stuff. I have not been there to use it, and probably won't anytime soon, but nonetheless, it is there and available.
Wonderful.
Great stuff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So upcoming agendas. What I know is that the Appalachian Trail community is going to come and do an update on the Bennington Trail Fest on June 27th. And I think we no longer have Shannon, but I'm thinking Shannon is hoping to be able to come and pull together some individuals to talk about resources for Bennington businesses at the next meeting. So we'll check in with her on how that's going. And then the following meeting, we have an update from the Opioid Response Task Force on July 11th. All right. Okay. Other business. Gary, you got anything?
Well, I just want to say that I took my first bike ride on the Ninja Trail. I got to wear the bridges out, and it was really pretty impressive. I thought I might try to cross the river and decided against it. I might find myself at the bottom of it. But getting that trail back online, I think is a really important thing for our community. I also went for a walk down the rail trail, and it's pretty incredible there too. I can't wait for that to get online.
Wonderful.
And just to be clear, Gary Warhart had the best, so he was in compliance.
And I'm sure.
Construction site right now.
Great, okay. And we'll get an update sometime soon on all the trails. Good.
Anyone that hasn't taken the opportunity to attend the Thursday night concerts at Merchants Park, AKA the Splash Pad, we really should take the opportunity to do so. The music's been great, but even better is the just hanging out with your neighbors and taking advantage of being outside together. So it's kid-friendly, it's dog-friendly. You can meet Gary's dog, generally.
It's free.
It's absolutely free, and I guess they do have a rain site.
And there's a raffle that you regularly win?
Yeah. There is a raffle that I won twice. But
Two times.
But seriously, it's a wonderful time, so please do come out.
Just one thing, I'm pretty sure of this. We're going to have a Hemmings cruise-in this coming Thursday as well. So let's just order some really nice sunny weather.
Good idea.
And I'll make that motion
Hop in
right
town.
now.
Yeah.
I will announce for the last time, because it will be over by the time we have our next meeting, Juneteenth. The event for Juneteenth is this Saturday, June 18th, at the new middle school on East Road from 12 to 3 p.m. So everyone should go check it out. It's going to be amazing.
Cool. Sarah?
The Naughty Pine will be celebrating their 50th anniversary this week, so happy 50th, Naughty Pine.
That's great.
Great.
Just kudos to the town staff for communicating with businesses about the need to mow grass, and certain places that have not yet complied, I hope that they find some way with a weed whacker or whatever. But it's also, they need to understand that it's really important for visibility coming out of certain streets. You can't see the traffic coming from other places, so kudos for communicating that, and everybody needs to keep. I know that we tried not to mow our lawns in May, or at least some of us did, but that time has ended.
Okay. So with that, we have need for executive session, and just like everything else tonight, it's a little complicated. So we would like to go into executive session, take up contracts, come out of executive session, and take action. and then go back into executive session for personnel with no intended action.
I would
Right.
make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second. Nope.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? All right. Thank you. So I think we are looking for a motion on 2 contracts.
Yep. I would move that we adopt the agreed-upon reopener of the agreement with the police union and EBPA.
All those in favor? Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Abstentions. All right. Great. All right.
And I would also move that we agree to, or is that ratify? Okay, ratify the agreement with the DPW union AFS CME Local 490.
Second. Right, any discussion? No, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. Could I have a motion to go back into executive session?
So move.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.